Oh man, so Luna has just got exposed, but stablecoin Kwon has came out to hit back at the controversy and to respond to the initial claims posted at Luna. So it all started when a certain @Jack Newald on Twitter decided that he was going to post an expose. Yes, so this is the chap on Twitter. I tweet about altcoins, founder of Crypto Pragmatist. Okay, so he's a pragmatic individual, is he? Well, he decided to do an expose. Now, we're going to go through the exact expose, the claims he made, and then we're going to look at the responses, because yes, Kwon has hit back. We're then going to look at the responses to understand what is going on with Luna, because as you guys know, it's something we hold in our portfolio, it's something we monitor here on the channel. We've done pretty well with Luna, but we've got to keep an open mind, right? And if there's an expose to be had, we've got to investigate it. We can't just take the headlines and say, okay, this is what's right, this is what's wrong. So let's take a look. We're going to take a look. So if you appreciate that, hit up the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. As always, if you like my perspectives, consider joining our course member live streams. Links in the description. Ijaz.uk/member. Right, so Jack, what you got? Let's take a look at Jack's thread. And I saw this thread kind of circulating around yesterday. I did have a read of it yesterday, but it got more interesting when Kwon shared his responses, which we're going to go through together today. So let's start off. He goes, if you're not completely up to speed on UST Luna, I think this thread does a pretty good job, but I'm not here to discuss the UST Luna dynamics. Then he starts to make his claims. So let's fast forward to here. Number one, burned Luna does not get burned. Previously, if you swapped UST for Luna, it would be burn Luna. Now, if a user creates UST, some percentage of the Luna is used to buy BTC. Obviously, this creates inflationary pressure on Luna. So it's bad for Luna price for one, but it's also weird to me that this core burn mechanism has now been used to just market sell, then buy BTC. That's not a burn. That's not deflationary at all. Okay, so what he's claiming happening, guys, is he's saying, okay, the Luna's not getting burnt every time you mint for a UST. In fact, Kwon's going to use it to go buy some BTC, so therefore you're not creating deflation, and that's his point. Now, let's go over to stablecoin, Mr. Kwon. And he starts off by saying, the only bank run that happens during bear markets is on my time. Okay, the cost to saying made-up clickbait is close to none. I think he's absolutely right here. We're going to cover off everything here, but you know, the fact that somebody like Jack here, who's got a relatively okay following here on Twitter, can just up an expose thread like this on Twitter is part of the issues we have in the crypto space around trust. And obviously, we do have a lot of scams, but when you've got a project like Luna at a $40 billion market cap, you can't just post a thread like this. And it got really good traction. A lot of people are talking about it because people like those type of headlines. And Kwon's absolutely right. He can't go and address all of these, but he decided to address this one. He goes, most likely stablecoin won't respond to it. Maybe I'm right. Maybe if he responds and I'm wrong, I get more engagement. Fine. So let's go to address. So the first one we covered off was that the burned Luna doesn't actually get burned. So very simple for Kwon. He says Luna does get burned 1-to-1 with the UST minted. All you need to do is try it yourself. Go to the swap section of Terra Station, mint 100 UST, and check out supply changes on the dashboard section for Luna. But of course, he didn't try it. Okay, so that's the first one. Now let's carry on to the next section. And in the next section, what we said is Jack goes, then he says, fine, it's ignorant noise. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The next claim was that the BTC backstop is paid for by ICO profits. The BTC backstop is $10 billion and paid for with a few different sources. So we can cover that off. We know obviously one, the $3 billion is from LFG, which is funded by the initial coin offering in the form of Luna, and $7 billion of seniorage profit. Okay. So let's cover that back off. And what Kwon says is ICO profits imply there's a party profiting. If building reserves is ICO profits, then wait, hold up. 80% of all spot volume on all crypto happens through the profits Tether has taken to build its $1-to-1 backing. So all he's saying is, this is not profits. A project holding reserves or building reserves for the future of the project or to back the stablecoin like Tether has done with its USDT can't be claimed as profit. So he's saying, you know, the wording here is not right. That's not how that works. He then covers off a point here, which was from a separate tweet exchange, but somebody says, so you don't control the burn wallet. They were claiming whether he had control to the burn wallet, and he simply says, no, it's a zero-out address. How is that even possible? And then he goes, I don't understand how the source one quotes can be from an anon on Twitter. Luna that gets burnt is not sent to a wallet. It's deducted from the total supply. Okay, so that's covered off there. And that covers off the third point, because what Jack was saying is burned Luna is held in Do Kwon's private wallet. Profits from seniorage set to be burned, sent to an unusable wallet, go to Do Kwon's private wallet. Not a contract, not even a multi-sig, Do Kwon's private wallet. But Do Kwon's refuting that. He's saying that is not the case. Luna gets burned is not even sent to a wallet. It's just removed from the total supply amount. Okay, let's keep this going. Jack has a few other things, so let's click onto this one. A new proposal to burn the remainder of the STT Stability Reserve is now posted on Agora. If we come back, he's quoted this because he's saying STT was minted in reserves at Genesis to allow minting in case mint demand, mint cap while liquidity is low, and of course was disclosed at length, now burning as at of October 21. Okay, now then Jack says, the next thing Jack says is some observations. He goes, a lot of backlash, no one refuting or disproving my points. Call me whatever you want, but you can't call me wrong. Okay, so he really comes out back in his jibes to say, what I'm saying is right. I've covered off the points that I've made, and nobody's getting back to me. And then Do Kwon comes back and says, I've refuted you on every single point, but of course, when one pulls things out of their arse, they expect lots of backlash and don't expect to be responding. Very interesting back and throw here. I think, look, Do Kwon's pretty much covered off all the key points. If we just run through the rest of the thread, there wasn't much more that he's pointed out. You can have a good read of the thread, but in essence, the three main points were those. The fourth point was Terra Luna minted 1 billion in stables out of thin air, but we came on to that. And he said, no, that wasn't the case. SCT was minted in reserves at Genesis to allow minting in case mint demand while the liquidity was low. So there you have it, guys. There was an attempted expose from Jack Neofold, but Do Kwon, who, by the way, is getting a pretty interesting reputation now in the space. He's almost like the Elon Musk of crypto, right? He's got that kind of vibe. I mean, even this, today he's gone out and tweeted. Let's see what I can show you guys. If you go to his profile, literally as of now, he goes, feeling cute, might go shopping, right? He's kind of being a bit meme-ish, a bit more in the culture, kind of charismatic. And that's good. That's good for Luna. Any great project kind of needs that exposure. It needs a leader who's going to be at the forefront, refuting these kind of claims, coming out, similar to how Charles Hodgkinson does on Cardano. And that's one of the points we mentioned on Phantom, where we kind of just need somebody to step up. Now, I appreciate Michael Kong, the CEO of Phantom's approach in that he doesn't just want to be the figurehead, particularly after he's seen what's happened with Andre Cronje and how the market can just start believing in this one figure. These are the key man risks that some of these projects have, right? Charles Hodgkinson over at Cardano, Do Kwon over at Luna. If anything were to happen to those individuals, it really would affect the project more so than if something was to happen to Michael Kong, which is why he's probably taking more of a back step. But interesting how, it kind of frustrates me how somebody can just post a Twitter thread like that and suddenly do an expose. It's very interesting how Do Kwon went and refuted it. But I can understand Do Kwon's frustration. He can't go around Twitter refuting every single person who wants to put an expose on something so basic as not checking where burnt coins go, if it's one for one burnt, etc., etc., etc. But it was nice that he did that for the community. It obviously got a lot of attention enough for him to pick it up. Now, just to wrap things up, where are we at on the Luna price? As you guys know, we've been monitoring this quite closely for the last couple of days, ever since we were sitting at $1.20. And I said, wait for that pullback to accumulate. Wait for that pullback to the 100 range. Maybe you might get 98, 97. We've in fact got lower than that to 94. Now, I still wouldn't throw the boat on Luna just now if you're trying to build out a position. That's not the way to do it. You want to wait for the pullbacks, which is one, we've got this pullback. Beautiful. You should definitely be buying and buying decent chunks right now. Remember when I said you want to be nibbling around here, then your nibbles get bigger and bigger, and now they should be massive because you're beneath the trend line, but you still want to be holding some reserves because as we can see from the macro patterns, Bitcoin is still at a precarious level, and if Bitcoin continues to fall, you best believe you're going to get even better pricing on your Luna. So the key is always nibble, always start buying and buying in more and more chunks as the price gets closer to more sensible prices, but hold some reserves so you don't panic. If we fall all the way to the downside on Bitcoin, you can lower your cost basis, but you got enough that if the market does go to the upside, you're not like, I didn't buy any. That's the aim of the game. Buy on the pullbacks. Don't get caught chasing those green candles. Have high conviction in your plays. And it's important you do research like this. If you're invested in Luna, look for these threads that are trying to expose them, right? And read what the founder is saying. Do your own research on where the burnt coins go, what's happening, how does it work, how does the ICO work, how did the funds come, how are they spending the funds, where's the, when they're buying this Bitcoin, where's it coming from? These are all good questions to ask. And Jack on Twitter obviously asked those questions, but he came up with the wrong conclusion. So there you have it, guys. There is an update on this expose. expose of Luna nicely refuted by Do Kwon. If you like my perspectives, you want to see more, hit up that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and consider joining our course member live streams, where you can join 3 times weekly live streams where you can ask me questions on TA, technical analysis, or tokenomics, or critique portfolio, or just general market questions and sentiment on what I'm doing in the markets, and a whole lot more. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.